A little bit high there. Hi there. Uh, well, hi there. Uh, weird. Well, Tufties again. Um, Hi there. Uh, we're back in the saddle again. I have heard that people do stuff on Friday evenings. And I've noticed we've got a little bit less turnout on Fridays, so I think this is going to be our last Friday, and next week I'm going to switch it around to a different day. So we'll have to watch the schedule. It's probably going to end up being Thursday, because like Tuesday, it's one of those nothing's happening in the evening days. Um, I could do Wednesday, but my Wednesday evenings are usually pretty occupied. So keep an eye on the schedule. I will make the change in the schedule. I think this is going to be our last Friday, though, because I like people to show up and watch. But everyone goes out and has lives on Fridays. I know it's weird. Um, why am I getting an echo? I'm getting an echo. From that tab. Echo check. Okay, I think that's fixed it. Probably anyone who was watching just now couldn't hear anything. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Bear with me. I didn't post my having gone live notifications to all my things. I should do that so people actually know I'm on and can show up. So bear with me a moment while I plug these in. Normally I do this when the this is what I'm doing when the starting soon sign is up. Is I'm plugging these go live notifications into all my various things, but I forgot to do that today. So now I'm doing it while chit-chatting at you. Uh, very professional. Much wow. I think that's all of them. I think that's all of them. Close Twitter there. Okay. Um, so to reiterate, because I think I was echoing badly, this is gonna be my last Friday show. I'm gonna move it to a different day starting next week, just because nobody shows up on Fridays, which means nobody's hearing this because nobody shows up on Fridays. This is also going to be a bit of an odd one because I don't know how long it's going to take at all. I have very little in the way of an idea today. I was going to avoid doing more meat. I have a bad habit of going to the grocery store, looking in the cheap meat bin, grabbing cheap meat, and then making that into something, which means almost all my dishes. Hi, Chemical. Uh, I've had the least professional start to this stream, I think, of all thus far. Um, I was just saying I was going to avoid going to the cheap meat bin, grabbing cheap meat, and making that into the thing. But today I went to the cheap meat bin and I found ham. 90% off ham. I couldn't resist. It's because it's used by today. So I'm going to use this entire package of ham. It only cost me 75 cents. So if we don't get through the whole thing, then not a huge deal. But so my concept is something with ham. You missed it just a minute ago. I was echoing because I opened a new tab. I've decided to run the mod view tab on the opposite tab here. Apparently, it doesn't auto mute itself, so I was echoing through my own everything. But nobody was watching, so nobody saw that part. So that was good. Yeah, so that's our intro. Going to be our last Friday, moving to a different day next week, and I've got ham. So I was doing some research. I always do a little bit of research. Oh, let's get the gentleman up there. I was doing a little bit of research on what you can do with ham and asparagus, because I've still got some asparagus. You can't even see the gentleman with that backlight on there. There they are. The gentleman. Okay. And I came across a pretty basic thing, which was asparagus wrapped in ham and then baked. Baking crisps up the ham and cook the asparagus through to tender. But apparently, the internet says that's Spanish cuisine. So that's what I've got in my head is maybe Spanish. I don't know much about Spanish cuisine, so this might be a learning exercise. But we're open to ideas today because I don't have one of my own. Where's that asparagus? Asparagus. The asparagus I picked up is still looking okay, but it's getting a little less than perfectly fresh, so I should also be definitely using it up. Let's get over to the countertop. There's my asparagus. Still looks pretty nice. The skinny one is going off a little bit. So I might not end up just not using the skinny one. At least I caught the echo this time. One of my very first shows ever. I spent an hour echoing. Oh, welcome in, Lothaba. Hi. That's a good tip. Carl's from Barcelona. Well, if you got any ideas, let me have them. It's a good tip on keeping the asparagus fresh, but I'm going to use up all of this today, so next time. It's not really quite asparagus season here yet. I don't know where they got this stuff. Most of the asparagus for sale right now is really that skinny greenhouse, hothouse winter stuff. Ugh. See, little bits of this one are coming off already because I've had it for a week. So we're going to do something with ham and asparagus, and I'm going to make little rolls, bake them. I'm not sure if I want to put something in between there or not. Could a little. I am from Wisconsin. My accent come through that that well? Um, I have a little bit of saffron. I could try making a saffron rice. The problem is the ham wrapped asparagus isn't really a full dinner. It's like an hors d'oeuvre. It's one element, and also it's not going to take very long. So I guess, oh, most European. Well, thank you. I don't know if I agree with that. Seeing the the neighbors and the people who live around me, we seem very down home American. Um, I do know that, and I'm not sure how this happened. Uh, Wisconsin is like the world's leading producer of ginseng. They export tons of ginseng back to China for Chinese use. Ginseng being originally like a let's see. I should. I'm getting distracted by chat, which is good, but also I should get rolling here. So board out. I'm going to take the gnarly ends off of these asparaguses. Get them all about the same. I know the black sheet is in fact a cutting board, but I'm using it as a color a white balancing thing. Why? Why what? Why get cooking? Oh, why the black sheet? Because without it, the camera goes dim. Uh, my camera hates this white countertop, so um, the black sheet is there to help the camera not not do that. It's not a very elegant solution, but it works. Um, I just need a little bucket. What I need is a new camera, like a modern current camera. The camera I have is a little bit old. Uh, and the trouble is I can take it off of the auto adjust, so it sticks at whatever brightness I want. What are you talking about? Uh, I don't know where this is going, Lothaba. Um, anyways, the camera, when I take the auto adjust off, it also disables the anti-flicker feature. Uh, and the lights above here are an LED light, and it creates a visual flicker that I can't figure out how to manually get rid of. But the camera is capable of getting rid of it because it automatically filters it out. As you can see, there's no flicker. Um, but I can't figure out what setting it is to manually get rid of it. So I've left it on automatic, and then I have to do a forcible hack. Ugh, get this ham out of here. I gotta be honest, Lothaba, I'm not sure what you're talking about. So I'm going to let you keep chatting, I guess. So I think I just want to do that. The question is, should I put something in between there? Uh, there's a traditional. I say traditional. There's a thing that we make in Wisconsin a lot called I can't remember what it's called. It's basically a tortilla with some cream cheese and a pickle rolled up like that and then sliced into little coins, and it's served at like as like an appetizer. Um, and this I guess is kind of that, but Nicer? So, what do you think? Straight up question. Should I put something in between the ham and asparagus? I've got options like mustard. Could put a thin scraping of mustard. I do want to bake it, so I don't think that cream cheese would work. I think it'll just melt out because the asparagus is raw, and I wanted to cook it to like a tender stage. Um, that's all I've got in here. I've got something that I should throw away. What are you? Oh, I know what you are. Okay, well, sometimes you don't get to the thing and then it goes off. I don't have any cream cheese. I can't do cream cheese anyways. I'm looking in the refrigerator right now. There's no cream cheese. Zero. Can't be done. Uh, French sauce. Okay. Maybe. Um, Dijon mustard sauce. Okay. Okay, that's an idea. That's an idea. Let's doing a little bit of research. I've got us tabbed out. I'm looking at suppose I could pull that tab over here since this screen isn't doing anything. Um, this calls for some bacon, which is interesting for a sauce. It wants to be cooked in. This is like a finishing sauce for meat. But I've got all of these ingredients. I just don't know that it's a. Um, Not really. Hmm. Okay. Um, Tell you what, I'm going to think about that since I'm just kind of standing here dumb right now, not doing anything, which isn't terribly engaging viewing. I'm going to start rolling these guys with nothing in between them, which I know isn't also isn't engaging viewing. But then I can think about I can think about that as a finishing sauce. Put on top of them, and then like a rice side dish. I think we're coming together with an idea here because this is vegetable and meat. So to get a balanced plate, a rice dish, a starchy dish would be good. And I don't have any bread. You could turn this into a full dish by itself with like a croissant roll, but I don't have that either. I don't feel like I'm going to make my own pastry from scratch right now. Um, God, you're full of ideas. I don't know what a German sauce is. What goes into a German sauce? I'm gonna put down some parchment on the baking sheet. Oh, I never adjusted the light on my other camera. Save your video. That one always goes dim on itself as well. Put down some baking paper. And these guys are going to start lining up on the baking paper. Probably a spritz of olive oil is a good idea. It'll help them cook more evenly, and normally I'm full of like, this is how I do this, and this is why I do this. Today I'm just really winging it extremely hard. Um, sorry. This is, I guess, what happens when I come in with no ideas. I've got some larger ideas that I didn't want to do today because I've realized that Fridays are kind of a light viewer day, and I don't really want to do the big fancy thing when there's hardly anyone here. I'm excited for proper asparagus season. This little batch of early asparagus I got has gotten me ready for the real thing. Because I love asparagus, and at my parents' house, they had an asparagus patch that was at least as old as I am, possibly older. So we got really well established asparagus, produced a lot of asparagus. You just go out down and pick it right out the ground. Um, the stuff volunteers itself really well as well. I currently rent, so I don't have my own land to put a garden in, which is unfortunate because I would love to have my own asparagus patch. Uh, Whenever I manage to afford a house, which is getting less and less likely the way the housing market is going, um, I want a nice big garden with things like my own asparagus patch or raspberry patch. Mm. Uh, I am growing things in pots. My onion seeds have sprouted. They're so small. I was going to take a picture of them, but they're so small they don't even show up on the camera yet. They're little tiny things. Um, that guy is too long. We're going to take, and we'll leave it. Leave it sticking out the end. I'm so excited. My little onion seeds. I've never planted onions from seed before. Um, but my onion seeds have sprouted, and they are these adorable little teeny tiny onions. It's not yet warm enough to be putting plants outside here. We're still in the yeah, housing costs are a nightmare everywhere. I'm lucky that my current place has not raised the rent since all of this has been going on, and my rent started out pretty low, so I'm able to stick with it here. But yeah, I would not want to be looking for a new place right now, and the price of buying is just exploding. Um, I've chatted with Tugboat a few times on his channel about it, the rolling nightmare scenario. Um, I do like living in the middle of the country. I'm not really a coast kind of guy. Let's put those at preheated this. Well, that's gonna give me time to think about it. I'm gonna put it at 400 to think about. We can turn it down before it gets there. Ham wrapped asparagus. What does this person think the correct temperature is? 400. 400 should be fine. Oh, you did make it. I've seen some community gardens, but I'm not sure how to get into them. I could do some research on it. I thought you said you were going to make it in today. I'm glad to have you. I've wrapped some asparagus in ham, and I need more ideas. That's where I'm standing. Especially if those ideas include ham. Because I've got to use this ham. Let's see. I think I'm going to try to make a sauce along the lines of Lothaba's suggestion, but I'm going to base it on ham. So I'm going to make a ham sauce, which is not a thing I've ever heard of. So, yeah, it's just deli ham. It's 75-cent ham. It's 90% off ham because it's going off today. So I've already used 10%, more than 10% of it. So we're good. But I would like to use it up if possible, just because otherwise it's gone. There was tons of it. I couldn't possibly have if I had something like a school trip with lots of students, this would have been perfect. I could have made ham sandwiches for 200. Whatever this, I guess people don't like this ham. See, I almost made a quiche. I was looking. I almost decided that they would cut this up real thin into like strips, and then do a ham and asparagus quiche. But I didn't end up getting any pie crust, and I don't want to make my own pie crust today, so I abandoned that idea. So at the moment, I've got ham wrapped asparagus, and I need a second dish. And I'm going to use some of this ham. I'm actually going to start frying that ham. While the oven is heating up, we can pop over to the stove. I don't often buy sliced deli meat because I don't eat it fast enough to justify buying it. Unless I get it directly from the deli, in which case I can just buy a very small quantity. I moved the camera, and then I decided to do something over here immediately afterwards. We're back to the original scene. I've gotten some of the ham. So the French mustard sauce that was suggested has me starting bacon in a pan that is the pan that you cooked the meat in that you are using the sauce as a topper for. So it's a pan sauce. I don't have meat in a pan. So, and I'm not going to use the bacon because I'm trying to use up ham. So I'm actually going to switch pans. We're going to switch to the steel pan here. And I've got some saved bacon fat. Oh, a little jar here. I'm going to put a little bit in there just to get it started. And then I'm going to fry up this ham until it's getting brown and crispy. And while it's doing that, so I'm putting a ham sauce on my ham because I've got ham. This is exciting. The description of this when I'm done with it is going to be fun. It's going to be something like ham wrapped asparagus with ham sauce and ham something on the side. Amazing. Hammy. So if I'm doing all this very meaty stuff. Now, we're drifting away from Spanish cuisine, which was the thing that was in my head when I thought about ham. Although this isn't, I had it in my head, but this isn't even like Spanish ham. This is American style, like country ham, water added. So I don't even know if that could have ever worked as a Spanish direction. But now I'm making a French-based mustard sauce. Do I just want to serve this with rice? I think I might just want to serve this with rice. Hammy rice. How do you feel about the phrase hammy rice? Throw these asparagus ends away. If I want to do rice, I need to get it started. So I need to make a decision. real quick. Real quick, like. What else have I got? I've got lettuce. I've got eggs. If I'm making this sauce, I need to get out the cream. Mustard is already out. Garlic. We're gonna need some garlic. I can grate some garlic to kill a little bit of time. Get this bacon grease. Bacon grease is so handy to have, but often I find myself cooking bacon in a way that contaminates the grease rather than just bacon by itself, so I almost am never able to save it. This bacon grease comes from another bargain bin find where I found bacon on its last day of use and had to cook it immediately, so I did the entire batch in the oven, and then it was a pool of grease, and I saved it. Okay. Got it shy of medium. Got it set to 5, which, if I recall, gets us up to about, I think that's around 250 on the oil meter. So this should start to cook, but start to cook kind of slow. I'm gonna get rid of these 3 sort of sad little skinny asparaguses. This recipe for a mustard sauce wants where did I put my bowl of food scrap that can go in the bargain, or not the bargain bin, the compost bin. Got bargain bins on the mind. We're gonna do 2. We're just gonna use all of this. I'm gonna kill this. I'm just gonna kill that head of garlic. Especially since I can already see little scars on this one that I'm gonna have to trim away. So there'll be a little bit of loss. I find that when garlic starts to get old, the paper just kind of lets go, which is nice, but it's also a sign that the cloves are drying out, which isn't so nice. These guys are also keep trying to sprout, despite being in total darkness in a cool room. So they must know that they're either just that old or they know it's spring is springing, despite being hidden away. These are actually a little bit better than I was expecting. I'm gonna have to get out the garlic peeling tube to get these guys taken care of. The garlic peeling tube always makes peeling your garlic easy. It has only failed me once when I pressed down so hard that I crushed the garlic inside the tube, and then I had to scrape out mashed garlic from inside the peeler tube, which wasn't super fun. I can hear my ham starting to sizzle a little bit. We will cut away that little rotten nub. And I guess since I'm doing this instead of starting rice, I'm committing to not doing rice, which is a decision I have made, I guess. Hmm. Well, I guess this is what I get for coming in with the least idea I've ever had. Lesson learned. Come in with at least half a plan, fill in the other half on the air. If you come in with no plan, you only end up constructing half a plan on the air. Um, the oven is up to temperature. I should probably put the asparaguses in. Just pushing the ham around a little bit over there. Deli meats always cook kind of strangely because they're not meant to be cooked. The flavors are quite striking sometimes. I've done it with bologna. I've done it with other kinds of ham. And pepperoni as like a sautéed item rather than a pizza topping, a baked thing. Anyways, I want the ham to go most of the way to crispy before I start adding other things. I should have moved that rack. The rack is still high from Tuesday when I did a broil on my chicken tenders. Okay, you guys are in the oven now. Okay, the asparaguses are in the oven. Uh, I'm No, none of these elements are steamed. Sadly, there is a lot of ham. Uh, do you have any ham ideas? I'm grasping at straws for more ham ideas. I have used about half of the ham. We are currently making ham wrapped asparagus and a ham sauce. I must keep an eye on the time because I don't want to burn those asparaguses. I don't have any split peas to make that with. Um, I also want something that's kind of starchy at this point to make a dish to go with my strange ham concoction. Ham and split ham soup. I could do that. Um, I've got some cornmeal. I could make a polenta. Let's see. This wants fresh rosemary. I've got that. I'm going to have to walk the other room. You play nice now while I'm walking off into the sunset to grab some rosemary. I forgot to grab a scissors. Coming back. We're coming back almost all the way, and then we're turning to another room so you can't see me still. Grabbing a scissors. I think I'm a little bit too off the cuff today. I think I've gone too far. I'm back. I've returned. We're just gonna strip these rosemaries real quick. Thankfully, rosemary is a very, very easy herb to take care of, and I've managed to not kill this one, despite it being in my front window all winter. I should have been prepping ingredients instead of just faffing about and chatting and lamenting how little of an idea I have today. Instead, I did all of those things, didn't prep ingredients, and now I'm liable to burn my ham. I've burned my ham. Well, I have definitely 100% burned about 30% of my ham. It's a tragedy. Well, that'll give me some fond in my pan. To work off of. I wonder if you could grind up ham and turn it into a ham burger. And then steam it. Okay. Well, thanks for showing up for the little time you could. Or were you saying that about the ham? I think the burned ham is okay because there was meant to be meat juices in the pan I started with that would have developed a fond that you then construct the sauce on top of. So I'm not going to say that the burned ham is a total loss about the ham. Okay. Sounded almost like you were signing off there. I don't think the ham is a total loss. I have the heat down further now. Chuck in the garlic. I was supposed to go until lightly browned, and I went until lightly blackened. That's okay. It's just richly colored. never burned. It's just richly colored. Then we add some cream. The pan is still hotter than I think it's supposed to be. And some mustard. And it should pick up all the little bits off the bottom and form a thick sauce. Okay, okay. It's not the fanciest thing I've ever seen, but it seems to have formed a little bit of sauce. I think I want to. I had to move my camera because my wine is behind the camera. I'm going to put a bit of white wine in there. And then cook it back down. I think that'll give it some more niceness to its flavor. Oh, these guys. I'm going to turn them and put them back in. How do you... We're going to awkwardly come at it from the long end. Oh, I can roll them. Gently roll them. That's what we're doing. Okay, okay. No. Roll. There you go. Roll. We rolled them, and then we rolled them. And then they can go back in. I've decided that my starchy component is going to be polenta, grits, which I know are different things, but oh well. I need 3 cups of water. Fortunately, this stuff cooks really fast, so this won't be a problem either. And then a cup of water combined with a cup of dry polenta. I hope this is all visible. I've got something covering the angle I usually use to watch the screen. Oops. That's going to be the end of almost the end of my cornmeal. So I did this wrong the last time I did it on screen. You're supposed to hydrate the cornmeal in a third or in a quarter of the total water before you add it. That's why mine went lumpy the first time. So let's see. Let's check this sauce. I'm actually going to take the sauce off the heat. I should have you guys over on the stove now because there's nothing happening over on the countertop. Everything's over on the stove. This is my sauce. I'm going to take it fully off the heat. The burner's also off, but electric burners always have a lot of residual. We're going to give it a taste and also check it for consistency. So it sticks to the back of my spoon. Oh, it's powerful. Wow. Damn. That's a thing. It's sharp. It makes the corners of my jaw like seize up a little bit, but doesn't taste overtly sour. It's just a ton of sharpness. No doubt from the mustard and white wine. But it doesn't have a sour flavor. It comes through as this savory, creamy. The ham probably should have been diced extremely small, much smaller than I did it there, because it's little chewy bits in there. Less of a sauce, more like chunks, which is not super like a sauce, but the flavor is punchy. Definitely a sauce, not a thing to be eaten on its own. Adding some black pepper. It definitely has a flavor of something that needs to be added on top of something that has a lot less flavor. So polenta is a good choice for this because this is quite punchy. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. I almost want to add a little bit more wine to it as well to thin it out. I don't know if this is what the French Dijon mustard sauce is meant to taste like. The burned bits of ham are not bad. They don't have a burned flavor. They're just very, like, firm, which is good. This guy's moving to this burner because then you guys can follow along, and this side can cool off a little bit. I should not have used that burner to begin with because when I take the asparagus out, it wants to go on this side here. Ooh-wee. That was shocking flavor. Shocking amount of flavor. I'm honestly surprised at how punchy that sauce turned out to be. Okay. I think we've settled on a dish. So what I'm going to be serving up, in theory, is ham-wrapped asparagus spears over polenta with a ham mustard sauce. How are you guys looking in there? They're looking like they are cooking. Good thing I've got that asparagus in there because everything else is going to come out kind of a medium yellow color, which okay. Let's get my hydrated corn into my boiling water. Should probably have done this in a bowl rather than directly in the measuring cup. But here we are. That was awkward to get out of there. Bring the heat on that right down. Grab our large whisk. And stir. I'm immediately developing lumps again. Ugh. Look at that. Look at that. I've got a lump so big it's trapped inside my... What the heck? What the heck? Stop bubbling so hard. Damn. Okay, that burner is too hot. It immediately starts bubbling like volcano. Asparagus wrapped in puff pastry with cream cheese. That sounds good. If I'd thought about it, and I've already forgotten your name. I'm sorry. Lothaba. Lothaba suggested cream cheese, but I don't have any cream cheese. And the asparagus was a little bit less than fresh because it's the same asparagus that I used to make the asparagus earlier in the week. So I did want to cook the asparagus. I didn't want to do a raw. I didn't think it was nice enough to be doing raw. Are you gonna immediately bubble on me again? Yes, you are. Speaking of which, ow. Hopefully that doesn't grazed the edge of the oven wall with my knuckles for a second there. I'm gonna toothpick test these guys, which isn't, I think, the typical way you test an asparagus, but it's gonna be just for tenderness of the interior. As you can see, because I rolled them over, they started to uncurl a bit. It goes through pretty well. I'm gonna call them done enough. Don't want to overcook asparagus. Overcooked asparagus is nasty. I guess those are our three elements. We're only an hour in. I guess we're gonna have a much shorter show today. That's what I get for having no ideas. I'm gonna clear up the workspace over here a little bit before I do an assembly. I could try a dessert. I don't know how it would incorporate ham. If you've got an idea, I'm willing to hear it. In the meantime, I am going to be tidying up and then assembling the dish that we've got. But please, if you've got something with ham, I've tried incorporating meat into desserts in the past, and it is as difficult as it sounds. Very wet ham, too. But see, those jellos with meat in them weren't meant to be desserts. If you're making them sweet, that was not the intent. They were supposed to be like savory. Because they had like peas and pieces of meat and diced up vegetables. Also, I don't have any gelatin on hand. I've got agar. I've still got some agar. We could do an agar thing. Um, I could say agar a few more times. Hmm. Oh, I had a thought. I had a thought, and I did zero research on it, and I didn't ever give it any sort of testing, and I don't know if I have a can of sweetened condensed milk. If I have a can of sweetened condensed milk, I have an idea. I have a can of sweetened condensed milk. Okay. Okay. Back to the countertop. We're getting out one of the big, nice plates. And we are starting it off with some polenta. Oops, that's the wrong drawer. Get this stuff served up while it's still hot enough to be kind of flowing so that it doesn't form a big, weird poo mound in the middle like it does after it's gelled up. And then we want our neatly cooked asparaguses. Uh, what do you think? Good arrangement? Probably about as good as it's going to get. Oh, I left the oven on. Don't want to do that. Okay, our sauce is already thickening up. So it's going to be a bit of a chunky, artful drizzle. The punchiness of the sauce makes me want to not go crazy with it, but I mean, I got to use it up. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's our dish. I think that's our primary dish. Ham wrapped asparagus with ham sauce over polenta. I'm disappointed in myself. Uh, we're gonna take her into the room, grab a few photos, see if I can find an angle that this doesn't look terrible at. Wake up my camera. I don't know about this one, guys. I mean, I'm sure it tastes fine. How could it not taste fine? It's almost entirely ham. Okay. I've got it plated. I've got it sauced. I've got photos taken of it. I guess we will give her a taste and let you know if it, in fact, tastes like ham. I'm going to take one of the bottom end pieces because they've got more ham on them. You, with some of the sauced polenta. Awkwardly get that on the fork there. Okay. Everything's cooked properly. Polenta's nice and soft. The asparagus still has a good crisp to it, but is tender. So that's exactly where I wanted it to be. The ham is a bit chewy, but the ham sauce has a pretty strong, punchy flavor to it, which I commented on when I was making it, and it works well in the balance with other things. On its own, it hits you in the face. I want to add more or not. But polenta was a good decision because it's very neutral. So this very punchy sauce combines with the polenta to make a very even flavor. Um, Considering I had no idea where I was going from at the start of this, the fact that we came up with a dish, I'm pretty impressed. I think if the ham that I had put in the sauce had been minced up real small, that would have made it better. The big pieces, not even just the ones that got too browned, but just the fact that they're sort of larger pieces, they're giving the chunks a little bit too much chew. So it stays in your mouth too long, and it kind of loses its flavor. So that's where it's being let down, because that bright, punchy, strong sauce is good, but then when you're sitting there chewing on ham, it kind of fades. Okay. I wouldn't suggest making this unless you have a plethora of ham. The ham-based sauce was very interesting. I think if you were making a meat dish, like a chicken or something, where you cooked it in the pan, you could build this ham sauce on top of that, and it would come up pretty good. I think that's a good. I think that's a good result, and I think the polenta was just a decent idea. Yeah, it's a good decision. I think it was just a good decision to balance the rest of this stuff out. I like polenta, and it's easy to make. And I have extra now because there's always plenty leftovers, and I'll have lots of things to do with that. Okay, well, that's the main dish. So I have a strange, stupid idea. Sweetened condensed milk is pretty much just sugar and milk, and the water's been taken out of it. I noticed that cocoa powder, if I can find my cocoa, if I can't find my cocoa powder, this idea is moot, because then I don't have any cocoa powder. I noticed that cocoa powder is very hydroscopic. It soaks up water really well. And there are recipes use that concept, but with powdered sugar, to make semi-solids. I don't think I have a cocoa powder. I thought I had a jar of it up here. Well, the idea that might not happen because I can't seem to find my cocoa powder is just to combine. Oh, there it is. Okay. What if I take sweetened condensed milk and add cocoa powder to it until it turns solid or semi-solid? And that was the idea. It's a what if food science experiment. What do you think? Should we give it a go? It's going to use up the entire can of sweetened condensed milk because I can't reclose this, and I don't know how much cocoa it'll use. It's a brand new jar of cocoa. And if it doesn't work, then it's all gone to waste. So, do we take the risk? I'm going to nibble on my my dinner here while I wait for anyone to talk me out of this, or talk me into it. I could, but that's a thing that people have made. The thing I just described, I've never seen. In my head, it should turn into a fudge or a truffle consistency, but I don't know. Um, I'm gonna do it. We're gonna see what happens. We're doing it. We're gonna see what happens. We're getting out a big bowl. And we're just gonna do this. Why not? In my mind, this should work. But I've just demonstrated where my mind goes. I showed up with no idea and ended up with ham nonsense. I've done some of the, I don't know if anyone's still here. Really early on, I did an experiment, and the only person I know who was watching at that point was Felix. Because in my mind, you should be able to take mayonnaise and put it into a pan, fry it, and it should solidify. And I found out that that's not true. So by taking a big scoop of mayonnaise, putting it into a hot pan, and seeing what happened. So that's what I'm going to do here. In my mind, this works. I just have to add enough cocoa to soak up the remaining liquid, turn this into a truffle or a fudge or something like that. I should get my little spatula. I should have gotten my little spatula before I do this. I have to walk over with the bowl, get the small spatula, come back. Because sweetened condensed milk is very sticky, and a lot of it is still in the, just stuck to the sides of the can. Okay, good enough. Sweetened condensed milk, cocoa. I'm going to use the tablespoon. I'm just going to use the tablespoon and add it until it starts to. I've added cocoa directly to sweetened condensed milk before in the past when making ice cream. Because I wanted to make chocolate ice cream, and it's easier to add the flavorings directly to the sweetened condensed milk. But I stopped far short of it becoming solid. Hey, if this works, write it down. 2 tablespoons. If it doesn't work, also write it down. You know, on Tuesday, I had a chef, like a professional chef, watching me. I'm sure they could tell me if this was going to work or not. They were giving me plating pointers. That was cool. I don't know if that I was a professional, like restaurant kitchen chef, I would be bothering to watch me cooking on the channel here. Uh, I don't know. I thought my show on Tuesday was my best yet. Um, the This is definitely firming up. The bacon wrapped chicken tenders came out great. I got to demonstrate my favorite method of doing sweet potatoes, and they came out just right as well. All the elements were cooked as I intended them. Ugh, this is getting performance anxiety. I could have had performance anxiety, but they didn't come in until they didn't join me right at the start. So they came in while everything was already halfway through. Um, so I didn't have to justify my ideas because the ideas were already beyond changing. I just had to execute. How many tablespoons was that? 3? I think I need the bigger spatula. The small one is rapidly becoming too small as this firms up. It is definitely firming up as I add stuff to it, so it might work. We'll just have to see how much cocoa I have to add to it to make it work. But we are currently on pace for this to work, which is exciting. The hope here is that this becomes firm enough that I can pick it up with my hand. Otherwise, it's just going to be a big old goober that I'm not sure what to do with. I need to hold on. I need a pencil. I'm going to forget how many scoops I've added if I don't mark it down, even though I have a recording now. I'm gonna lose track. No, I know I'm gonna lose track. Get a scratch paper here. So I've added 4, correct? So that guy is 5. They're not leveled either, so that's going to throw off my measurements. Oh, it's getting a lot harder to stir as well. Suppose it doesn't look like anything. It just looks like a dark brown on dark brown. Because I'm doing it in the corner because I can't reach over. I'm moving my main dish. Oh, it's like a thick taffy. So that's 6. I forgot to write down the 5. 5, 6. still here, Felix. I thought you would have rushed off to whatever you do on Fridays by now. Or is that later? I don't even know what you do on Fridays. Okay. Each scoop takes longer to incorporate and is firmer than the last one, which I'm taking as a good sign. I choose to take as a good sign. Oh. Well, did you see the start of this nonsense? Chemical talked me into it by not talking me out of it. Seven. So this is a can of sweetened condensed milk and cocoa powder. And I'm adding cocoa powder. The idea here, you were here when I did my mayonnaise experiment. This is like the mayonnaise experiment. In my head, this works. I've never tried it. I've never read up about it. But just knowing that cocoa powder is hygroscopic, it should be absorbing the liquid in here and making this progressively more solid. And I think if I add enough cocoa powder to it, it'll turn into the consistency of like truffle or fudge or something like that, like a. But I don't know how much to add, so I'm adding 1 tablespoon at a time, incorporating it, and then adding another tablespoon. And I think it's working. Like, it's progressively becoming harder to stir. It's getting solider and solider. Unlike the mayonnaise experiment, I think this one is actually working. I'm almost tempted to start digging with my hands, honestly, because it's becoming just that thick. It's becoming almost like a dough thickness. And if this works, then great. And I'm keeping track of how much I'm adding so that I know how much to add later. And now I'm licking my finger off because I touched it. It tastes like chocolate. In theory, this shouldn't need any sugar either because sweetened condensed milk is already very sugary. Oh, and it's stuck. It's just absolutely sticking to this, my siliconiest of spatulas. But we are, the progress it is making me happy, but also it's getting harder to keep going. But I've got to get it to the point where it's like handleable. Otherwise, I can't really make candy out of it. I'm just making a different kind of mousse. But it's holding, almost. That's 8. Which, according to my little conversion chart here, is half a cup. I can't be bothered to remember all those conversions. And helpfully, I got sent a magnet that has them all on it. So it can always be right here when I'm cooking. Oh, I can feel the handle bending as I'm doing this because it's becoming so thick. Oh, I could get out my dough scraper. Okay. This thing is a dough scraper. It's silicone coated, but there's a metal sheet inside. I've used it typically when I'm making bread. It pull the sticky dough out of the bowl when I'm turning it out. Given that this stuff is approaching the firmness of bread dough, possibly exceeding it, although it's a lot stickier. This might be the better tool at this stage. It's also got a nice rounded shape to it, so I can sort of scrape into the bowl with it. More cocoa. It also doesn't have to run the risk of breaking its handle because it has no handle. Um, I'll tell you, the stuff tastes good. I was worried that adding this much cocoa would make it go bitter real quick, but it has not. It is holding up quite well to that angle. Oh man, I think that might be our tipping point. I think we're approaching our tipping point here because it's having a hard time even just picking up the loose cocoa from the sides of the bowl now. The next experiment is to do this same thing but with cinnamon. Uh, just like a cup of cinnamon. No, I think I would die if I did that. I think I would actually die. Um, Cinnamon is also, well, no, cinnamon isn't hygroscopic. Cinnamon is hydrophobic, which is why the cinnamon challenge kills people. Don't do the cinnamon challenge, kids, because the cinnamon won't hydrate in your throat because it repels water. Oh. Okay. I would say this is a job for a stand mixer, but I think this stuff is getting to the point where it would break a stand mixer. Ten. Oof. I could be. You never know. Don't say that, son. I, I feel like we are reaching a hard limit as to how much cocoa a can of sweetened condensed milk can pick up. Oh, I keep wanting to set things down in it because the things are covered in chocolate. But as soon as I set something down in it, it sinks in and then becomes so caked in chocolate that I can't even handle it. This is the Berenstein timeline. You must be thinking of the Berenstain timeline. Oh. Okay. Okay. I'm going to wash my hands real quick just to make sure I'm not contaminating this a ton. I want to dive in with my actual hands and try to get this because I think I've graduated past the bowl scraper. If I had just literally a steel spatula, a curved steel spatula, I think that might be the tool here. I'm going with hands. We're throwing hands as soon as I get them washed and fully dried. Okay. This might be a terrible idea, guys. You got to commit. Oh, I get it. Ham. There's no ham in this one. Oh, I mean, look at the consistency. It's not quite solid, but I can pick up a chunk of it. More cocoa. I'm going to end up using this entire thing of cocoa, and it's not going to solidify, and I'm going to be like, well, what the fuck now? Maybe I should get some ham out to help solidify this. Oh, it's it's similar to the consistency of like a frosting, like a packaged frosting, but just so sticky. I don't know how I'm going to get this off my hand. I'm licking off the other hand. So it's clean enough to add another scoop of cocoa. Oh, it's like a strong glue. Oh, it's turning into a dough. Please turn into a dough. That's exactly what I want you to do. Turn into a proper, like, dough ball. The whole thing picks up where it's separating from the bowl because it's covered in cocoa powder. Oh. Uh, I can pick up the bowl just by sticking to it. I got to get it off my hand. I think. Okay. Turn of the spatula. What we've got here is what those professionals among us would call a mess. But how am I going to get this off of my hand and back into the bowl? Because it just sticks. It just sticks. Tell you what, it tastes great. Uh, it looks kind of iffy, and there's no way to eat it without gluing yourself to it. But it tastes great. I'm going to sacrifice the remaining sheen here and give my hands a wash. Me? Yep. May need to gnaw off a limb. I'll tell you what, it tastes great. Hands, hands. Hmm. Sorry, I've pulled up some research. See if I can figure this guy out. Well, there are recipes similar to this, but they call for butter. And they want you to cook it, not just combine it. So, I want to resolve this quickly. It's so solid that I feel like we're right there. I just don't have the tool that I think I need for this. I don't think this is the tool either, but we're going to give it a try. Just because it's rigid, so I think I can scrape it to the middle. Like when it was covered in fresh cocoa powder, it started to develop like a dough. But then when I incorporated and hydrated that cocoa powder, it turned back into this glue ball. But it did firm up every time I did that. It's just that we've gotten to the point where I don't know that I can incorporate it anymore. It's not perfectly holding its shape. It does sag a bit. God, how much time have I killed? I've killed nearly an hour just doing this, trying to solve this thing. Um, well, kids, I have two ways. I can think of two ways to continue this forward, and that is try adding more cocoa powder to it until it's firm, like one stage firmer than this. Or try to put this in a pan of some sort and refrigerate, see if it firms up that way. I've used more than half of this. Lucky 13. Lucky 13. I think this is probably going to be the last one that it's possible to incorporate without heavy machinery. This also might have worked if I knew how much to add and added it all at once, so I didn't have to go through this sticky glue phase. That's probably part of what is catching me up here, is I'm going through a phase where it's just so sticky that I can't work with it. But like, as soon as I get these, oh, actually, that's an idea. That's an idea. I had not considered. That's a strange idea that I had not thought of before. Because it becomes so dry on the edges that I think I can pick it up and it just holds. And then you could form that into a little ball. Look at that. Hot damn. And then he starts to hydrate the cocoa and becomes sticky. But look at that. Okay, okay, I think we've got our solution. I need a staging pan. Woo. With a dusting of cocoa in it. By dusting, I mean a bed. I can't remember how much this jar of cocoa cost. I'm pretty much going to kill it on this one project. So I hope these are worth it. If I get the cocoa on my hands as well. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm amazed. I'm impressed with myself because this is a thing and it's becoming a thing. I think the 13th scoop of cocoa was excessive. I think that was not the right thing to do. Some of these are coming out too dry. But if you cover them in some fresh cocoa powder, They're truffles. Look at that. It worked. Ultimately, in the end, we just had to persevere through the garbage phase. Because we've got, I should have realized this when I was one scoop of cocoa ago, when I was saying this feels like a dough. I should have started treating it like a dough. Amazing. Amazing. A 2-ingredient truffle. I don't know how many. I've never made real truffles. I don't know if this is. This is probably much harder than making real truffles. But hey, the again, if I think I knew how much to add to begin with, I could have skipped all this add, stir process, skipped right to this phase, and this actually wouldn't have taken that long. Um, now that I kind of understand what the goal should be, you found a recipe for it. Oh, how'd I do? I can't look up recipes right now because my hands are covered in chocolate. Uh, this is the first like proper confection I've made as well. Outside of technique, I'm sure the technique was probably have a measured quantity of cocoa and sift it into the sweetened condensed milk all at once, right? Something like that. Adding it a bit at a time turned it into a horrific gluey mess. Warming up. Oh, that would actually, yeah, that probably would, because then it would be do it while it's warm, and then as it cools down, it'll firm more. That makes sense. Oil on my hands. Or butter. You could butter your hands. But yeah, that's also a good idea. Adding a an anti-sticking element to the hands, so instead of just diving in, would probably be a good idea as well. I just dove in. Now that it's this consistency, it's actually quite easy to work with. Uh, so now that I know how much to add, it looks like I'm supposed to add, let's see, 12 tablespoons, because the 13th didn't incorporate. Um, So add 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder to 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. And it'll, that should get me to this stage without having to go through all that in-between struggle. Okay, well, we learned something. I learned something. Probably could have done some research on this, but just I just started. I wasn't planning on doing this at all today, so I didn't do any pre-research for it. I just dove in on it. And that, in my opinion, is a lot of the fun of cooking. Is you don't know where you're going to end up, and you just jump in. These last few at the bottom are getting a little dry. Okay, well, uh, all part of the adventure, I suppose. It looks like I've been working in the garden, which I suppose is appropriate for truffles. See if I can't get some of this off the side and form one last. Yeah, that should hold into one, I think. Maybe. Yeah, a little bit of a chocolatey mess going on around here. Now, I kind of was tasting these along the way just because I kept licking my fingers. But I can give one a taste. And fortunately for these, I can take my time plating them as well, since they're just a bunch of little balls. So I can taste one, tell you how it came out. I'm almost out of viewers. We've exceeded our time. I'm 15 minutes over my usual maximum, and my main course has gone cold. So the experiment here, while a success, has probably not been worth the trouble. Let's give one a taste. I'll tell you how it is. Extremely soft. It goes gluey in your mouth as soon as you bite through the outer cocoa layer. Tastes like chocolate. I don't actually have much more to say than that. I will eat these. They're much softer than I think a truffle It's supposed to be. I will probably refrigerate them to make them firm up, but they're very soft and fudgy and gooey, which I like, but it's really kind of glues your mouth shut. Huh. Okay. Well, okay. I'm gonna call it a night here because I've got a lot of cleaning up to do, and then we're gonna take pictures of these at some point. Back to our main screen here. Thanks for coming out. I don't know who's still here, but thanks for showing up. We had an adventure. My hands are so filthy I can barely touch anything. I'm going to. Oh, should I raid? I won't be able to talk when I get to the other side because I can't use my hands at the moment. See who's live. Sal is live playing that new dinosaur game. I'll probably watch her later. I could drop you off there, but I won't be able to talk if I raid you right now. Okay, I'm gonna raid you over to Sal. You can let her know what's up when you get there. I don't know who was all here at the start of the stream. I don't know if you're still here. This is probably going to be the last Friday stream, all told, because people don't really show up. I guess people have things to do on Friday night. So next week I'm going to change the schedule. We're going to stick to Tuesdays. People showing up on Tuesdays is great. So I'm gonna pick a second day. And yeah, so watch for me next Tuesday, and peek in at the schedule to see when I've picked my second day. I'll also do Twitter announcements and throw it in all the Discords and all that sort of stuff. Okay, I'm not going to bother with the countdown. I'm just going to drop you off right now. So I was thinking Thursday. Thursday's probably a good day because, like Tuesday, nothing's going on. Thanks for being here. I'm just going to hit the raid now and drop you off with Sal. Let her know what's up when you get there, please. Otherwise, don't. See you next week. Bye-bye.